Good evening, all, and welcome to Goonsby from Block 5 with me, your host SJ. Today, I'm joined by KT and
Yes.
AA. How you doing, boys?
Good. Thanks for having us
Yeah, good
back.
things.
Yeah, it's good to have you back, you know. Got some good feedback on you both from the last pod you had, so I was like, yeah, got to get them back on ASAP, get the ratings up, you know. Um, I mean, just before we get into this pod, I just wanted to just pay respects to the friends and family of Diogo Jota, who sadly passed away this morning at the age of 28 in a motor vehicle accident in out in Spain. Passed away alongside his brother. I mean, what's your thoughts on Diego as a player?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, rest in peace and really tough news to hear for all football fans and
Mm.
all of the football world. And, it just shows somehow, sometimes, how quickly things, life can get taken away from you. And he's living the dream, as we all would say, and it can so easily disappear. So yeah, rest in peace. He's obviously a top player, he's always caused us trouble, that's for sure. Um, and actually probably a bit of an unsung hero in terms of that squad. Um, and he's been a good player for Wolves, but I think he's elevated his game. He's at Liverpool and won things for Portugal as well, where Ronaldo might get the limelight, but actually someone like Jota's a bit of an unsung hero. So yeah, definitely like shocking news and rest in peace to him and his brother, to be fair.
Yeah, I'd probably echo that, to be fair. I think, to be honest, I was quite surprised he was only 28. I think when I heard the news this
Mm.
morning, it feels like he's been around a while. He's definitely been causing us nightmares for a number of years. But like Katie said, even on national stage with Portugal, he's been really, really impressive for them. And obviously, trying to get some limelight out of Ronaldo is not an easy thing. But yeah, like I said, I was surprised he was even 28 years old. I thought he was early 30s, the amount of time we've been watching him. But no, like I said, really sad news this morning. So, yeah, obviously, pay our respects to him and his family.
No, I mean, I agree. I mean, when you first joined Liverpool, every time they played Arsenal, it seemed like they started 1-0 up. Jota. I think he scored like 4 or 5 in his first 4 games against us. He was just a very clinical player, especially when he played against Arsenal. You know, he's a very good squad player, I'd say. He was never You wouldn't say he was a number one striker, but he's a very good, I would say 1A, 1B striker. A very
Yeah.
good supporting cast. I mean, he was there the times when you have Firmino, so he'll come as a rotation piece for Firmino, Sadio Mane, Salah. And yeah, I mean, yeah, like you said, it's a sad, sad situation. And yeah, just prayers to his friends and family and rest in peace. But yeah, I just wanted to make sure we got that in. What we're going to do is what we're going to discuss today. We are going to discuss new incoming players. We're going to discuss potential areas where we still need to improve. We're going to discuss players at the club that we still need to move on, and small other bits at the end. But yeah, let's get into the show notes. So Tuesday, was it Tuesday? Yeah, Tuesday. Kepa was officially signed on the website, 5 million, 3-year deal. We got Zubimendi. He's pretty much done. Due to come through the door soon. Norgard, that's an ongoing thing. I think that's pretty much done as well, if you believe reports. And Christian Mosquera, who rejected the contract at Valencia in favour of joining our project. Um, yeah, I mean, those 4 players are the main players, say, are coming to the club. Pretty much, I won't say definite, but yeah, 90% sure they're coming. Um, it's 3rd of July. KT, how would you rate our window so far? If those are the 4 players that say tomorrow it all got announced, how would you rate our window so far?
Yeah, I think to be honest, with those signings, I think as you said, they're more or less there 90% or so. We'd expect them all to go through unless, someone fails a medical or something unexpected. Um, and I think our famous word in our group is perspective. And I think a little bit of that is needed because if, for example, we had that big ticket number nine already done, and then these were the next four players to join. I actually think we'd all be pretty happy. It covers all the areas on the pitch. I know we don't want to necessarily delve into each signing, but it's got a good spread of what we need, especially with the Partey news. We've got that replacement. When we were last on, we spoke about the type of replacement that a Partey exit would need, and I suggested someone in the Premier League and someone a bit of a higher age profile, been there, done it. So on paper, I'm quite happy with the signings, but actually, uh, because we haven't got that big ticket number nine just yet, there's a little bit of reservation amongst the fan base, and I think maybe a lack of perspective in how good those signings are for what we need. There maybe not be there might not be the kind of shiny signing that you want, the all-encompassing madness as we call it, the big ticket signing. But I think they'll actually be quite shrewd signings. We need obviously some backup for Saliba. He's played 50 games, 2, 3 seasons in a row now. Missed the last 10 games of that season a few years ago, and we fell apart and without a good replacement. We had Holding playing those games. He clearly wasn't up to it. So we need someone on the right side whilst we're covered on the left. So the young centre back makes a lot of sense to me. A lot of people are saying about Partey leaving and Norgard joining. For me, Norgard's more of a Jorginho replacement, and Zubimendi is more of a Partey replacement. So that comparison isn't exactly quite right for me. But yeah, I don't think that's too bad a signing, Prem proven. Um, and yeah, so I think Kepa obviously number two that we need. I don't think Raya's going to get replaced. So yeah, overall, I think it's quite shrewd business for this time of the season of the transfer window, and I think it's all about that number nine and wide player, as we know. But if we had got them first and these were to follow, I'd probably say we'd be a lot happier. So I'm still hopeful. I'm still hopeful the other two can get over the line.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like you said, the fan base depends who you're speaking to. Across all four players, there's a sense of like some are quality, some are not. The squad's been improved. Squad hasn't really been improved. I mean, AA, how do you think these players, once signed, will impact the squad?
I think the Zubi one's an interesting one for me. I think if you look at logically, he's a top quality player. The fact we've known about this transfer probably since January time, I don't want to say it's taken the gloss over it, but if you think logically, I think if we had the news that Partey was leaving last week and David Ornstein out of nowhere introduced Arsenal have agreed a deal with Sociedad for Zubimendi, I think our fan base will be going into hysterics. I think you take
Yeah,
away, I think probably bar Musiala, not Musiala, sorry,
Mosquera.
Vert,
Oh, God,
signed for
sorry. Yeah.
Liverpool. It's probably
Okay,
the
yeah, sure.
second biggest signing of the window, if in my opinion, and obviously barring any big moves to follow. He's a top quality player, and obviously I know he's highly regarded in Spain. Obviously, Rodri's got the place on lockdown for the national team, but he's, as we saw in the European Championship, he's the number two there, and they're highly fond of him. And there was a lot of clubs after him. I know Real Madrid was sniffing around, and there's a few other clubs, and then I think Liverpool tried to sign
yeah,
him
Liverpool as well. Yeah,
Mhm, mhm.
not too long ago. So, like I said, the Zubi deal I think is a statement signing, and and for a good fee as well, and obviously structure the deal as well. So I think that's a smart signing by us. I think it's definitely a party replacement in my eyes. Hopefully he hits the ground running. I think I mentioned last time it's going to be a lot of pressure on now with Party not there. But I think he'll be a big impact to the squad. I think his way he plays, when he picks the ball up and he does that forward pass and he opens the game up, I think it'll really benefit someone like Declan Rice, to be honest. So I think he'll be a great addition to the squad. The other three, I think, like Katie mentioned, they're more a strength and depth option. Um, Mosquera, especially, to be honest, I don't know a lot about him, and I'm not going to pretend I know a lot about him. But I think the profile of the player, the age profile, that cover for Saliba, it's an interesting one for me because I actually think Ben White could do a job there. We've got a few options there. So apparently, a reported fee around £20 million. Like I said, without context of who's going to be that number nine, or if we are going to sign that wide player, I think context on these signings will probably have more of an oversight 1st of September when the window shuts. But yeah, kept up strange one. I think that, as I say, market opportunity for the price tag, it's probably hard to refuse. I think João Garcia, I think a lot of fans are after, but obviously he's joined Barcelona. So,
yeah.
but I agree. I don't see Kepa getting a lot of minutes, but I think it's a smart signing for the price. And yeah, Norgard, I don't know, to be honest, quite sensible. I probably would have preferred a young player personally, just to bring someone through, but I'm not against the signing to it. I think he could play a lot more minutes than people think, to be honest. Especially the closing end of games, hopefully, and giving the squad a bit of a rotation. So I think everyone will have their part to play. It's a long season if we do well in all the cup runs as well. There's a lot of football to play,
Yeah.
so they should go to get some minutes as well.
Yeah, I mean, I just want to pick up on. I mean, I know he's left the club already. Already, Thomas Partey, so it's pretty redundant talking about him. But KT, do you think he will be missed, or was it time to get rid of him? Was it time to move on Partey and take this project in a different direction? Fresh blood, younger legs, more vibrant. What do you reckon?
Yeah, I think with Partey, I mean, it was always kind of we saw that ability, that raw ability. He was, I would say, probably the best thing since Patrick Vieira to play that role. He could hold. He was actually pretty good going forward as well, driving from midfield as well. Wouldn't just sit. So the problem really was his fitness, wasn't it? For 4 or 5 years, and then we had the last season where he miraculously got through pretty much all 38 games, and then some with the European ties. So yeah, I think that was a bit of a smokescreen as to how reliable he was, and actually 12 months earlier, we'd probably all have been fed up with him now at that point to say, 100, what is it, 220K or whatever it is, 200 plus
Mm.
is too much for someone who's not getting on the pitch enough. He was obviously good last year. Um, Not great, I didn't think. Not some of those matches from 3, 4 years ago where he like ran the game, decided the game. Um, so I think, it's okay as long as we've replaced him, and we have. And, Norgard seems to be a good player for Brentford, a good captain-like player, reliable, at a good age. I think I read somewhere that there's no one above 30 anymore in our squad now that
Sorry.
Jorginho.
Okay.
Jorginho's gone and Partey's gone. Maybe Zinchenko might be the only one. Uh, I don't think there's any 30 plus 30-year-olds plus.
Okay.
Um, so then there's a lack of maybe experience, I guess. So he covers that box as well. I wanted someone Prem proven, I guess, or someone who's done it in the Prem and done it before, and he's pretty reliable
Yeah, I
footballer.
think
So I think for what it is, it's not a bad signing, and Partey will not be missed that much, I don't think.
Yeah, I mean, I was just picking up a point you said there about the best player since Vieira. And in my head, when you said, I'm trying to tick in my head, like who since Vieira have we had in that position that has been quality, that has been able to take
Yeah.
the burden from the
Abu
defense.
Diaby, but we all know
Oh,
he
yeah, Abid Diaby, if he didn't have his injuries, I
yeah.
think would have been a top player.
I
I
should
mean,
have
we
got his
say
name
that
on
we,
this shirt.
yeah, I mean, we say that we're just, yeah, I mean, he put in some quality performances. I mean, I think the one that ever references is the one at Liverpool away.
Yeah.
But he just couldn't get away from his injuries. But yeah, I'm trying to think of players who had in that position who could be better than Party. Him himself, I mean, it's a shame, like I said, he's had his own injury issues, which pretty much played his career until last season, which was his contract season, and it just seemed like it was too little too late.
Yeah.
Um, the die had been cast on his injury record and everyone's opinion on him to stay fit, and it didn't seem value for money keeping him. I mean, I said previously I would have kept him
Yeah.
because I like where the squad was and a bit of continuation. Can't say that word. Yeah, and then adding Zubimendi, like I said, there has been a good 1-2 with
Yeah,
Party playing back.
it would have taken a bit of pressure off Supermendy. I think now, especially with the start that we've got,
Mm,
there isn't any betting in time for him. And that's probably the one risk that we've kind of got taken on, I guess. With Partey as well, I think playing him at right back and stuff, we didn't play to his strengths. It's a bit
yeah,
unfair on him as well. Having
yeah.
said that, he just felt like he would just be switched off a little bit defensively,
Mm,
like the Villa game, tracking Ollie Watkins, I think it was for the second
mm,
goal. Like the stuff like that, it just never really clicked, I feel. Potential, yeah, through the roof.
mm.
Good age, good signing. We were all, I think, over the moon when it happened. I think we all just left a little bit, wanting more.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I don't want to spend too much time on Thomas Partey. He's gone now. He's a good servant to the club.
Yeah.
Um, Put in some brilliant performances along the way. But yeah, I mean, in terms of Kepa, he signed a 3-year deal, which is to me is a not a shock, but I mean, I'm going to say a very bold prediction right now. I do think Kepa will be gone on loan next season because, like I say, he's 30 years old. He will soon realise, I think, by December, January, he might have played 1 to 3 games, depending on how far we get in the Carabao Cup, that he's not going to just play Raya. And he will feel like he's wasting his career, you know? If he's 3 years, I can't imagine a lot of money as a backup keeper. And he's just come from being a first team keeper to join our project. And I'm saying it right now, next season, he will be on loan and Setford will be our number 2. That is my bold prediction today. Clip it, book it. Yeah.
Wow.
So
We'll be holding you to that. We know
yeah, it's on camera. It's on camera, it's on audio, but I'm telling you, I just can't. I think he'll be a good addition. But I mean, I was trying to think in my head, is there a world where he played Champions League games? I don't think so. I don't think Mikel Arteta would take that risk. I don't think Arteta's going to do what he said before, where he felt the need to sub a keeper mid-game, because he would have done that against Luton away when freaking Raya was having an absolute dreadful game,
Yeah.
So I don't see it. I just don't see a world where I just hope he doesn't become disruptive. I can't imagine he will be. Seems like a good professional. Yeah, right. Yeah, I just think while the sun's shining in June, July, August, it's all nice and rosy, but when it comes to that cold December, I realise he's just a warm-up keeper for Raya. Yeah, I don't think he'll like it, to be honest. Yeah. But I just want to look at if I just want to look at positions that we need to improve, in right now. AA, what positions do you think we still need to add and improve, in your opinion?
I think the number 9 is a given, so I probably won't dive too much into that. I think that's
Yeah, I mean,
well
yeah, I mean, I think
publicised, but
that's
obviously
a glaring, yeah.
that's a given. Left side or a winger, I think obviously is another one that's been advertised. I agree with that one. Personally, I would
I mean,
come.
let me stop you there. With the winger, we've
Yeah.
been linked with Eberechi Eze or Crystal Palace. Is that someone you would like to come in and play that role on the left wing?
To be honest, I don't know if that's his best position. I think would he add value to the squad? Yes. Would he be a different option for us? Because sometimes I think we're a bit one-dimensional, 100%. Is he a top quality player? Yes. So he ticks a lot of boxes. Um, Controversial for me. I think an informed Martinelli, I think would start ahead of him for me. And I think I'm a big Martinelli fan. I think on his day, he's very direct. His finishing sometimes lets him down. I'll be honest on that one, but I think he's a much more dangerous player for me, Martinelli, when he's on form and he's at the top of his game. So in some ways, it could lift Martinelli to get to that level. I think he's probably had a disappointing season last year. The year before, he was exceptional, probably up there with one of our players of the season. But whether he would start in that role for me, I'm not too sure. If you're telling me he's coming in, I think his versatility is what's attracted Mikel on this one. He can play wide left. He can play in the centre. He can play with a Martin Odegaard. He can play instead of a Martin Odegaard. Takes a bit of pressure off Ethan. One area I'm a massive fan of Ethan, but I think it's a lot of pressure to put on his shoulders if we were to get another injury to Martin like we had last year. And to be honest, Martin wasn't really the same player back end of the season. I think he was still nursing that injury. So I think he rushed him back, obviously for the good of trying to win the title and for the Champions League. So to answer your question, I don't know if he's the right action on for the wing. I think he's a
Mm.
brilliant squad addition, but whether he'd be that right fit for the left starting left wing, I'm not 100% sure to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's a versatile player. I mean, KT, do you think you could see him possibly? I mean, AA touched on Odegaard's form last year. Could you see him possibly coming in and fitting on the right and link up with Saka? A little England, little link up on that side.
Yeah. Yeah, I can, to be honest. I can also see him doing a role when Saka isn't in the team,
Okay.
or Odegaard. And I think actually it's been a bit of a theme with Arteta's signings where he signed a player where you think they're going to play, but actually it's worked out that he prefers them in a different role. You think of the likes of Havertz, Declan Rice, who everyone thought, maybe number 6, and now he's playing further forward.
Yeah, I mean, I
Um,
get, I mean, I understand what you're saying there, but do you think do we have time to experiment anymore? Because it sounds like what you're referring to there is right. That's what he's been doing, but it sounds like it's like an experiment as such, trying people in different positions where we've brought them
yeah.
in as a striker and put them in a. Do we have time for that anymore?
Yeah, look, I think on paper, no, we don't. But one of the weaknesses that we've had in the previous year and the year before is unexpected injuries or unexpected red cards or whatever, and you're not always going to have a like for like replacement good enough to replace your starting player. You know, there was a massive drop off of obviously Sterling coming in for Saka for those 3 months, or you know, um, that we were short. Ultimately, we were short up front. Havertz got injured. We had nothing. Marino's playing up front. That can't be, what it is. So yeah, it does it strengthen the starting 11. I kind of agree with Andreas that on his day, Martinelli probably for me is more direct as a winger. Um, but is Eze, going to slot in any of those forward positions? He could even play off the front man, play 8, 10, right, left, wherever. Um, and then does that mean that the quality of the squad? Because I still feel the 14, 15 players needs to be all starting quality. I think he is then good enough to start, but he isn't your direct take on your fullback type winger that maybe we all would like. But then if Martinelli is that and he's not performing, um, there's not many wide players in the world who are all kind of doing that role well. They're
Mm.
quite sought after, I think.
No, I agree. I mean, what I would say is that I did take a look before we came on at like Opta analysts in terms of like Eze's heat map and his touch map, and it is just literally symmetrical to Martin Odegaard, but on the left hand side.
Yeah.
And if you compare it with, I was about to say Eze, Martinelli and Saka, where their touch map is literally touchline, their touch map and heat map is all up the touchline, and Eze's he has touches on the left hand side, but I think that's more game situation as opposed to game plan. So he
Yeah.
might find himself on the left just as because of how the game state is. So I don't think I wouldn't see him as a left winger. I see him as a left eight, a very creative left eight. He can unlock defenses. He can ball carry. I think I just think he's a really talented player, and if the opportunity is there to get him after, I think a left winger and a striker, I'd most certainly go for him.
Yeah.
And I mean, in terms of left winger today, via the Athletic, it was reported that Real Madrid and Xabi Alonso are open to Rodrigo leaving this summer. They have agreed the club will not stand in the player's way if a suitable offer is made, and Arsenal have held talks with Rodrigo's camp already. I mean, Andreas, what would you think about Rodrigo coming to the club? Is that a player you think would raise our ceiling?
I definitely think he would. I think, like as I mentioned with Martinelli before, his inconsistency. I think he would be a level above. Like KT mentioned, I don't think there's a lot of natural wingers out there anymore that can do that job. Albeit I've seen him a lot on the right. I haven't seen him as much on the left, but apparently that's his favoured role. So I would be quite interested to see him there. Worst case scenario, if Martinelli's on form and Saka's injured, he could cover on the right as well. We are short of options there. So I don't think he'll be fixed just to the left. I know that's his preference, but I think he definitely would be a level above. Um, I would, though, think that that might probably mean the end for someone like Trossard. And I know we'll touch on exits probably later on. I don't see as how Trossard, Martinelli, and Saka and Rodrigo fit in this squad
Mm,
and keep them all happy. But in terms of raising the bar, I definitely think he would be a bar raiser. It is a heavy price tag, and I think whilst there's a glamour to that signing, it is a lot of money to spend on someone that may not work out. Um, I hope it's not a Nicholas Pepe kind of vibe, but we spent a lot of money on him and he showed a lot of potential, but didn't quite
I
work
think
out. To be fair,
me,
I
me
think
and Katie love Pepe. Sorry, man.
Yeah.
I was
A
a
little
fan
cut, a
What's
to
he
little
doing?
cut
What's he
in the
doing
whip,
now?
a little cut in the whip top bin. Now listen,
Yeah.
West Ham away rings a bell, obviously. So,
don't disrespect Pepe's
um,
name.
but no, I think it's the kind of it's definitely an exciting signing. It's definitely raises the roof, and I think that's I don't want to say it's gone a bit stale. I think last summer was obviously the Calafiori Sterling window. Like Calafiori, I think is a top signing. Obviously, we haven't. I don't think we've seen what he potentially can do. But I think the based on last summer and then nothing in January, I think it's definitely a statement signing. Whether it work out is the million-dollar question. But no, I think it's definitely a level raiser for us and someone we should be targeting. I think Mikel said if a player of that ability is available, Arsenal need to be at the door knocking and inquiring really. And I think it was pleasing to see that we're one of the names mentioned.
Agree. I
Yeah.
mean, I was surprised that Rodrigo's actually younger than Martinelli. Didn't actually realize that. I thought the way they play, it looks like Rodrigo could be like more experienced and older than Martinelli. But yeah, He's
Yeah.
actually the younger player of the two. Katie, I mean, your thoughts on Rodrigo? Do you...
Yeah, I mean, look, I think it's a sign of where we are as a club that we're in for him. You know, 3, 4 years ago, if a Real Madrid wide player becomes available, he's going to City, he's going to Liverpool, you know, United just for who United are, Chelsea because they can throw cash at him. So, for us to be in the mix and a genuine option, I think is good for us as a club. I think he would be kind of a marquee signing, to take a Madrid wide player. He's obviously in big company with Vinicius and Mbappe and all that, so it's not a bad thing if maybe he's short of game time or wanting to leave, and I think he'll feature heavily for us. He'll be a marquee signing. He'll be as important as, let's say, Saka on the right. So it's definitely improving the quality and actually raising the bar. I think that's what Martinelli's a good option.
Mm.
There's nothing say we don't sign a left winger, but we sign a number 9. It's okay. It's not the end of the world because we've still got good options on the left. But if you want to win and you want to be competitive every position, really fight for their and raise the bar, there's small margins. And actually, the likes of Rodrigo is a better player than Martinelli. I think Martinelli hasn't been as consistent as we all thought he would be, and he started off on a high trajectory, but that's probably leveled off in the last 18 months, I'd say. So it'd be a bit harsh, but actually, that's the kind of marginal difference we need to push, everyone to a higher standard. And Martinelli might up his game in because Brazil and they all want to play in the World Cup and stuff. So
Mm.
yeah, I think it'll be a great signing. I think it probably means, as AA said, that Trossard is a bit dispensable. Um, so so let's see. Well,
Yeah.
what do you think about Rodrigo?
I mean, echo both what both you said. For me, I think he's a ceiling raiser. Um, he hasn't really been given his chance on the left hand side, his favourite position, because obviously we've got Vinicius and last season Mbappe's come there too. But he's always been a team player, it seems like. He's been, I won't say the water carrier, but he's been the one that's done all the running whilst the other two have been able to take
Yeah,
the day off when they're out of possession. Um, I mean, yeah, I think he'll be a very good player for us. I don't want to go on and repeat what you got to say. I think you got
could
covered
could it
him well.
could it be a bit like Alexis from
I was just
Barca?
about to say, yeah,
Not
that's
the
a
main
bit
man.
deja vu with that, yeah.
Yeah,
It's
comes
got a
in.
point. It's got a point to prove, I think, and
I mean,
that's
how,
it.
Yeah,
how old was Alexis when he dropped? I feel Alexis was a bit more established. He was top.
24, 25 maybe.
Yeah, he was top. He was in an Ozil category when he came. The old Wenger face post game. It felt like it felt like he was one of those top players when he came to us.
Yeah.
I feel like Rodrigo may have a little bit more in him to work on to get to his top level. But yeah, I mean the ability's there, talent's there. We just need to home in and get the best out of him, really.
I
But I
think,
just wanted to,
yeah, I think he'll have a lot of pressure on him, though. I think, given what we said and obviously the hype we've built on him, I think naturally we get there and they'll raise the bar. I think he's going to have a bit of pressure though to deliver
yeah,
early on. So it'll be an interesting one if he does come in. It'll be exciting to see him, obviously.
yeah. I mean, with the pressure, I think all our players are gonna be under pressure next season, to be honest. But I just wanted to
Yeah.
spend 10 seconds on Sesko and Gyökeres by myself. It's the 3rd of July. It's Gyökeres, now it's Sesko. One wants to come, the other doesn't want to come. In reality, we don't actually know. So yeah, that's the 10 seconds done. We're done with them. But who I actually want to talk about was Ollie Watkins. I saw reports that we may be in for him yesterday, and I mean, in our WhatsApp group, we've been vocal about him. I think he would be a very good signing for us. I'm strongly in the camp of win now, and I think Ollie Watkins is a win now player. He's prem proven. He's got a decent goal assist record for Aston Villa, who for me are a top team, but they're not the top team. They create chances for him at a decent clip, and I think he'll get more chances for us. We just need someone on the end of our passes who could put the ball in the back of the net, and I think he's capable of doing that for left foot, right foot, and also in the air, he's pretty decent.
Yeah.
He's someone that for me makes a lot of runs in behind. I mean, to be fair, I think when I'm watching games, I do think our players do make runs in behind, but we're just not a team that plays that ball, which I think is something I'll come on probably discussion for another pod later on. It's something that we need to work on next season. Is actually just knocking that ball over the top and playing higher up the pitch, if needs be. But yeah, Watkins. What do you think, KT? Was that someone that would excite you? Someone
100%.
that we need?
I said it in January as well. I would take him all day long. I think he's ready now. You know what you're going to get. Good finisher, quick feet. Even for the low blocks, quick feet in the box. He knows where to be. Front post back. How many times we got the ball? Odegaard, the ball rolls back to Odegaard. He whips it in. There's no one there. There's so many patterns of play that just require a finisher in our team. He also then does offer a completely different option to Havertz because I don't think the number nine, whoever does come in, is going to start 38 games. I think Arteta likes Havertz there, and there's a role to play in that number nine position. It's not, you're going to start every game. Um, so Watkins allows that different option, in my opinion. I would be all over him if we could get him cheaply, or I think he's not got too many years left as well there. He's ready, he's at the right age. And if you offered me Rodrigo and Watkins, I think we're done. We're done with the summer window and move on. So yeah, I would happily take him personally.
Yeah, I mean, sorry, I was just in the background just trying to see if he scored against us last season, but he did. I
Yeah,
remember
he's
he scored quite a few goals this recent. You know what I mean, in recent years. I remember the chip over the keeper when we lost 2-0 when we
yeah,
went through a title. Villa Park when he had Saliba squared up 1-on-1, just knocked it
yeah,
past him, bang, bottom corner left foot.
off the bar.
I
What
mean,
was the one off Smith Rowe? Wasn't there one off
yeah,
Smith
yeah,
Rowe? He
that's
took
what I'm
away.
referring to. That's what I'm referring to when 2-0 when he's running
Yeah,
behind and just chipped over the
off the bottom
keeper.
of the bar as well was the
Yeah,
party goal
yeah,
last year. So
yep,
yeah.
yep. I mean, AA, is that a player? I mean, have you got a different player you're looking at, or is Watkins someone you think will come into our team and, yeah, I mean, improve us as a team really?
Yeah. Don't get me wrong, and I don't want to be snobbish about it, and I think he's a top player. I think the noise around the club the last 12, 18 months about this number nine position, they put a lot of pressure on themselves to get the right man. And I think the quotes that Mikel said about not having a striker in January was that he wanted to get the right man. I think if we ended the summer with Watkins and Rodrigo, I agree with KT. I think that definitely improves our front line. I just think there's a lot of pressure to get a bigger name. But like I said, whether Sesko is an improvement, like, wait to be seen. I'd argue potentially Gyökeres is slightly more exciting than Watkins. I'd be able to position if we had Watkins now, I would have been a bit frustrated that we didn't just pay the money and sign him in January. Whether he would have made the difference and won the league, probably not. To be honest, I think we left ourselves too much work to do. But to wait until the summer and inevitably still end up with Ollie Watkins, I think quite snobbishly would be a bit of a disappointment. Whether that's right or wrong, he may prove to be that 25, 30 goal season striker, to be honest, and maybe I'll happily eat my words, don't get me wrong. But I've always been most excited about Sesko, to be honest. I don't know if it's his profile, his stature. He's got a bit of a Haaland vibe for me. I think maybe that's just biased because of the build. I think he's got a lot of potential, but I'm a strong believer if that's the guy that Mikel wants, and I think he's the biggest risk of the three, if I have to add. I think of the three we've mentioned, I think he's the biggest risk. But I think if that's the guy Mikel wants, I think the board have got to pay the money and back him because you wouldn't want Mikel saying at the end of the season he didn't have the players that he wanted and he was pushed into a corner to sign someone else. So with other names, to be honest, I don't really have other names, to be honest. I think we've been so fixated on Sesko and Gyökeres for what, 12, 18 months.
Mm.
It's hard to look outside the box any further than those two. And obviously, Watkins was a name that came up. I believe he was offered to us actually, but it was a name that came up at the end of the January window. I don't think anyone would have had him on their list mid-January, put it that way. I don't think anyone would have thought of Ollie. So, but I think to answer your question, would I be unhappy? No. Would I be overly excited? I don't think I would be going into the start of the season. Obviously, once that first goal hits the back of the net or he scores a winner, I think obviously you move on and you deal with what you've got really. But yeah, I think it would be a bit of an anticlimax for me. I think the only thing that would trump that, like Katie said, is if Rodrigo came in with him. And obviously we've got the two new guys up front. So yeah,
Yeah,
not
I
for me
mean,
anything.
yeah, I mean, I'm surprised that we didn't go for Jonathan David, free transfer from Lille, a player that we were previously linked to.
Yeah.
Like, he got a decent scoring record, scored goals in Champions League. I mean, Lille would say a top team in France. Yeah, I mean for a free transfer, we'd have got him and possibly a Sesko in a rotation up front. But again, I think my liking for Watkins is I kind of got a fear of the unknown right now. I know Watkins, I've seen him do it in the Premier League at the highest level for Villa, you know. And like I said, it's win now. I'm just a bit worried if we get someone from outside the Premiership. I mean, it's the best league in the world. Yeah, I mean, PSG knocked out our three top teams, boom, bam, bam. Um, but you know, it's just like, yeah, I mean, I do think the defenses in the Premier League, the way we set up, are different to where it is in other European leagues. And I think just bringing a Sesko or a Gyökeres, sorry, I forgot his name, Gyökeres, would just, not too sure if they could do it at a top level for us. They could be capable. I mean, maybe like make me eat my words as well. But yeah, Watkins is the guy that I would really just side with. Um, I think you mentioned Trossard earlier,
Mhm.
um, as a player that we need to possibly move on. I mean, what's our squad size right now? I'm not even sure. I mean, what is the perfect squad size to have, KT, do you reckon? What do you think we should have as a squad size? Just a random
Yeah.
number.
Well, this is the thing. I think
Mm.
having
'Cause I think you did mention earlier 14, 15 players.
yeah.
But is that a
Well,
squad
I
size?
mean, no, I think obviously 14, 15 is too small for a whole squad.
Yeah,
But when I said that, I mean
top quality players,
14
14, 15. Yeah,
genuine,
yeah.
first 11 players, if you know what I mean.
Like a Man City 22, 23 when you
Yeah, yeah,
hit you with
like Pep
Sane, hit
say,
you with Sterling, you breathe and
yeah,
look to the left, and then you see Morris warming up. You're like, oh gosh, yeah, yeah, yeah. I see what
yeah,
you mean.
it's
Yeah,
relentless.
yeah,
And I think even Pep was saying he wants, is it 22 players?
yeah,
No more than that as a
mm,
maximum because the dynamics of the team, keeping it competitive as well, there becomes an obvious, you know, first choice and second choice and third choice by that point. So you want it competitive enough. Equally, I do think last year we had the excuses of the injuries, the red cards, whatever.
mm,
This year, that's not gonna go down, uh, even if we get them.
mm.
So we have to inevitably someone is going to get injured. It happened with Saliba last year. Obviously, it happened with everyone, but Saliba a couple of years ago. So we have to be ready for that as well. And I know that last year I think was unprecedented, but um, we need genuine competition, and I think having 15 sort of first 11 players, a few youngsters bedded in there as well. We've got the likes of Ethan, which we haven't really spoken about, even though we're talking about Eze Rodrigo. What is Ethan Ranieri's role next year? He'll want to play minutes as well. So, I think around the 20 player mark uh, is good as a squad size, but I don't think he'll want too many. The
Oh, was that me?
So yeah, I think we need it to trim it down because we probably had the likes of KT and Zinchenko last year just sat there knowing they're not going to play. I think everyone needs to feel like they can play.
Yeah,
So
sorry.
I
I
don't
think, I
think
think
he'll want
my
too
I
many
think
young.
my internet dropped out there and came back in, but I think
Oh,
we got
sorry.
most of that. I know we got most of it. It's fine. It's no problem. I mean, AA, who are the players in the squad right now being 3rd of July that we still need to move on, do you reckon? I mean, we've got Lukongo come up from loan, Vieira.
Yeah, I think Vieira's a funny one. Apparently, he's not been too bad for Porto in the Club World Cup. Not that I can admit that I've seen much of it, but he's an interesting one. To be fair, if I'm honest, Eze for me, we were talking about, I think Eze is kind of an upgrade on Vieira for me, but a genuine option that we could use in the squad. So I think Vieira would be one that I'd be very surprised. I think the fact we're linked with someone like Eze just tells you all you need to know about Vieira. I think there's that opportunity is now gone for him. Lokonga, likewise, I think the fact Norgard's on his way in, he probably tells you that Mikel sees a different alternative there. Zinchenko is a funny one, actually. I don't mind Zinchenko, but I ironically don't know where his best position is, to be honest. And I don't know if he's good enough at left back, and I don't know if he's good enough in centre mid. But he's one I think will potentially leave the club and be one that we potentially look to move on. And to be fair, Reece Nelson, I think Reece Nelson will struggle even without a
Yeah.
signing. I think if the fact Rodrigo came in the door as well, I think that's curtains for him, which is a shame because I quite a promising young player. I think he's had a few injuries as well as he's come through his youth career, but he'll be remembered for that goal against Bournemouth, I say. So at least he's got his moment in the shirt. But um, there's been rumours about Martinelli going, which I wasn't
Mm,
too keen on. I know there's been rumours with Saudi and Bayern Munich as such. I personally don't see that happening with
no, I
Martinelli.
don't think so.
It'd have to be a very big offer, I think, for us to even consider it. So I think I think Trossard kind of just feels the most natural one that you'd get rid of. I think there's a contract situation there. He hasn't yet signed a new deal. He's got 12 months left. And to be fair, one of the annoying things about Partey, I think there's been mixed views on Partey, but I think the biggest disappointment for me is that we're losing him for nothing. And I think we could have got a fee for him, albeit he did play a lot last season, but we could have got a bit of money for him from, I think there was Saudi interest last year, and it just felt like it's a shame to lose someone of that quality on a free transfer. So, and it kind of feel the same if Trossard was to leave on a free next year. I think he's been a very good signing for us, especially the fee that we've paid. But they're the ones that spring to mind immediately. Controversially, and I'm a big fan, someone like Ben White, I think, whilst I don't want to get rid, and I think he should be a part of the squad, I don't know where his position lies anymore. I think Timber's kind of made right back his own. Saliba and Gabriel are a bit untouchable, and he's a top quality player. And I would imagine, especially now putting his neck on the line to say he wants to play for England again, I don't know if maybe this time next summer or even January he may be a player that may want to move for more football. But I'm a big fan of Ben White, and I think he's a fantastic example. Someone like KT said that he could sit on the bench, he could come in at any point in the game. You'd have full confidence in him coming off the bench, or even playing the odd game here and there to either rotate a Timber or if there's an injury, and you'd have no problem. And I think these are the kind of players you want in the squad, but it's hard to keep all these players happy. So. Yeah, Ben White's an interesting one to watch for me. I think he could be one he may consider his options soon.
Yeah, I mean that Ben White one, you stay away from that one, no way. I mean, lest we forget that right side functioned best when it was Saka,
Yeah.
Ben White, and
And
Odegaard.
yeah,
Yeah.
those
Timber, I
three.
mean Timber, solid defender, I'll give you that. But going forward, he's not that. He doesn't bring that same attacking flair that Ben White does. I mean, Ben White doesn't even touch the ball sometimes, but just that overlapping run he makes, it just draws players away, creates space for Saka to let him do his thing. So yeah, I mean, I'll keep Ben White. 100% I would keep Ben White
100%.
because he can play right back. He can also cover centre back. I mean, I know we want to get him Mascara in, who's a right-footed centre back, but he's young and we need to be learning. And I think that's also a signing in the view that maybe Saliba might be. I mean, we all, as Arsenal fans, have got it etched in our head that Saliba will end up in the white kit of Real Madrid
Yeah.
someday. We don't know. It's not if, it's just when.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wouldn't. Me personally, I wouldn't. I wouldn't touch Ben White. I would leave him in that squad because yeah, he can offer us so much down that side. That's me personally.
Yeah.
KT?
Oh,
Well,
100%. I would definitely keep him. I just think
Yeah.
he's a player that may consider his options soon.
yeah. I think to be honest, looking at the
I mean,
injuries
wait,
for
okay,
both.
before you start, KT, I just wanted
Yeah.
to add more player in there for you to discuss as well. Jakub Kiwior. I'm not sure if anyone's brought him up yet, but what do you reckon? I mean, all the players we've named also just
Yeah.
touch on Kiwior.
Yeah. So Kiwior first. I mean, I think he's obviously excelled in the last half of the season. Gabriel's been injured. I think before that, when he was coming in, he was getting a bit found out. And his stock's probably risen since Gabriel got injured. And actually, he'd be quite sought after at the moment. Um, I think he did well on the left side of uh, the centre backs, and actually, that's what a run of games gives you. That consistency, you get into that flow. Without that, and it's really hard to judge some of these players. And I've said it before. I think one of the bits that Arteta needs to work on is his use of his squad, rotate better. Some people off, give people competitive minutes, not just last 10 or last 8 minutes. Making subs after the 80th minute is just not helping anyone. Um, so we saw what he could do with the running games, and I think he's a genuine option. Now, that just kind of pivoting back to Ben White on it, I think the same applies to Kivior, that Gabriel's now had a 3-month injury or whatever it is. Timber, didn't he have surgery again or something just at the end of the season? He missed the last 2 games, didn't he? So all of a sudden, where on paper, the likes of Ben White, Kivior, Zinchenko might seem indispensable, but the original players of Calafiori, Gabriel, um, Timber have all got their own injury problems, clearly. And so, on paper, you might say one of them is dispensable, especially, let's say, Kivior versus a Ben White. Everyone would probably say Kivior we could sell. We could probably get some decent money for him as well. But actually, because it all has to happen this season, we've got to win something. I don't really want the 20 million of one of those sales. Keep the squad and keep the depth of the squad. You make the right back position competitive with Timber and Ben White. They probably neither of them can probably start every game. Tomiyasu, God knows where he is in terms of his fitness. The same then with left back. Miles is obviously first starter, but Calafiori should come in. He's been injured. Kivior can also play left back. So I wouldn't be selling any of those defenders, even if the
Mm,
numbers look high. The only one I think would be Zinchenko, maybe, just because I don't think Arteta rates him highly enough to start. He doesn't trust him enough.
Not
The others I
defensively.
would be keeping.
yeah, I mean, I'm glad. Wait, I'm glad you said that there because there's something I'm gonna bring up about you wouldn't sell the player for 20 million. But I feel like, or me personally, definitely, as a fan base, we get caught up in the keeping the players back up. Like Kivior, for example, before Gabriel got injured, if Gabriel stayed fit, we would have said this summer off.
Yeah,
But he's put together a good run of games, which is we can agree we didn't see it coming. Um, but now his stock is high. Should this not be the time where we actually sell him? Because next season, all of a sudden, Gabriel's fit, Calafiori's fit, Kivior plays 0 games, his stock goes straight down, £5 million back to Bologna next year. Um, no, I mean, yeah, would you
yeah,
would you like? That's why I think is it not important to sometimes just say, okay,
yeah.
we had that with. I mean, we're lucky to get money for Smith Rowe. Um, who else like it? And Eddie.
Eddie, yeah, 30 million.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
no, I agree. I agree. I just don't want to hear the injuries being a reason for next year not being successful.
yeah.
And just judging, but I think Calafiori missed 5 months. So I think I saw
Listen,
somewhere 5 months.
Ricardo Calafiori is on the clock. I'm telling you, he missed
Yeah,
I think 27 games last season.
and
For a debut season, that's really bad for me.
yeah, and also he wasn't cheap. He's like nearly
Mm,
50 million pounds, I think. So like, that is a marquee signing. That's a lot of
mm,
money. So to miss 5 months is massive. Um, Gabriel, who's played every game for 3 or 4 seasons, worryingly got that 3 month injury as well. So who knows how he comes back with niggles and recurrences and all of that. It all, these guys play every minute of every game. Um, and yeah, Kivior, the drop off is massive, I'll admit, Gabriel to
mm.
Kivior, but either you get a young centre back, make him competitive and hopefully he can get some games, or yeah, it's a hard one. It's a really tough one. It's so dependent on injuries and
Yeah,
things like that. I think that's just kind of um, stuck with me for this year that I'd rather have the depth just in case
yeah,
because we carry so many injuries across that back line.
yeah. I mean, we've mentioned Zinny, Kivior, Nelson, Lokonga, Vieira, possibly Martinelli or Trossard, and leaving the club. But my question is there even a market for these players? I mean, we are really bad at, we've been notoriously bad at selling players. I mean, you get Liverpool selling Kwanzaa for £30 million. Chelsea sell every academy product, that comes out of Cobham for £20 million.
Yeah,
Liverpool, I mean, I mentioned Kwanzaa already, but Man City, sorry. I mean, they sold a right back last week to Dortmund. I didn't even know who he was, but he played Dortmund last year, 20 games. Why? What? I mean, is there a market for our players? And if not, why are we so bad at just selling players? It seems like every year we don't sell players, and the only way to get them out is to buy them out their contracts.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned the point about Kivior because I was actually about to bring up exactly the same point. I'm actually in agreement, and I think when he stepped in the team last year, I think we were all dreading, oh, we're going to get battered against PSG, he's a liability. And to be fair, I actually think he had a stronger end to the season than Saliba did. I think Saliba showed his frailties when he didn't play with Gabriel, and that's a real testament. I think if Gabriel had stayed fit, I know Declan Rice got player of the season. I think Gabriel for me would have won player of the season if he'd stayed fit. for the
Yeah, we
entire
need to
year.
speak about that Declan Rice player of the season. Take away them two free kicks. Yeah, I'm not sure. But anyway, that's one for another
We'll
day.
save that one for another day, definitely.
Yeah.
But what was I saying? I agree. I think while his stock is high and he's shown his potential, there are clubs that would look at someone like a Kivior and he'd be the main man as a centre back partnership. And you could get a good 35, maybe 40 million pounds for him. You never know. I agree, selling him for a mediocre 15, 20 million is probably not worth our time because we've seen already that signing a replacement like Mosquera, they're looking at 20 million quid for a young lad on with 1 year left on his contract. So I don't believe giving him away for nothing, but I think if you've got a sizable offer, I'd say 40 plus million pounds, say, for
For Kiwior,
Kylian, I think I would take that. I think for
I'll
40
me,
drop him to
million.
the airport.
I don't
yeah,
think
I think they've
I don't think we're getting anywhere near that for Kivior. I mean,
so you've got to
his
get
market for me
Good
is
shot.
Italy, and
Yeah.
you're
there's no
looking at
club.
maybe
Yeah,
30
I
plus.
think the most you'll be lucky to get 20 million, in
I
my
was
opinion.
saying 20 million. If we got an
Uh,
offer of 20 million, I'd probably consider it for Kivior. Like I said, we notoriously don't sell players when they're at their highest stock, and we just let
Yeah,
them.
I think for me, I think Calafiori is probably better suited at left centre back, and I think than a left back potentially. So I think Mikel likes players who are versatile that can play multiple positions. I think Kivior was a failed opportunity at left back. I think he was terrible there. To be fair, I don't think he's got the pace to play that role. So I think he's very one-dimensional left centre back. So I think he's quite restrictive, and I think that's not something Mikel looks for. I know we've been linked with Hato for a number of windows now, and he's maybe one that if one came in, one would he would come in to potentially replace as another option. But to make the point, selling players, I think, look, you're a big. Let's not get us. We're a big club and we offer big wages. And I'd hate to. I don't even know what Norgard would be on, for example, but he could be on close to 100 grand a week. And if Norgard is a failure, for example, after 12 months, I think we'd struggle to sell him for any sort of money because who's going to take on a 32-year-old centre mid on 100 grand a week? I'm seeing silly money quoted for like Zinchenko that Fulham might buy him for 10 million pounds, which is
Yeah,
ludicrous.
it's just.
He's 28 years old,
Well,
all international.
it goes back to the point is why are we not able to market? Is there a market for our players and why are we so bad at selling players? Is it,
yeah.
I mean, come back to AA, is it a case of how we treat the players and do we not play them enough or we only use them when we're desperate to use them? I mean, like most top clubs, they will use players in a rotation um, and keep the players fresh. And in like Kwanzaa,
Yeah.
he made quite, I mean, he got hooked first game of the season against Ipswich, but
Yeah.
he's made quite a few Premier League appearances in the past few seasons for Liverpool. I just don't see why we don't have that market for our players.
Yeah, I think Harvey Elliott is probably a good example. I think there's rumours he could be
Yeah,
going for 40, 50 million quid. And he played a lot of minutes for Liverpool. He wasn't the main guy, and he was obvious he wasn't the main guy for them, but he played enough minutes to keep him active, keep him fresh, keep him lively, get some important goals and assists for them, and obviously keep him in the picture. I think KT mentioned at the start, Mikel's got his 11. He arguably's got 13 players, and it's quite obvious who they are. And I think I think whilst we could probably name, there's probably no surprises of the players we've mentioned that could be out the door and who could be coming in. I think it's quite public knowledge that there's players that are surplus to requirement at Arsenal, and there's a deal to be done there. And I think Nelson could end up going for peanuts as well. And it's a shame because they're good players, and especially when you see these sell-on clause. I think is it BRIF, the Sturm Graz. We got him for like 4 million
mm.
quid. We sold him for literally next to nothing, and he went 6 months later for about 15 million quid just because he got a run of games. And I'm not saying he would have been a solution instead of Eddie, but like I said, there's just prime example. Players go elsewhere, they do a job, and they move on for good fees. And like I said, you can't seem to get that for our players. It's I think the wage structure for us is still something that
That's
we're
a good
working
point.
on.
That is a very good point. We do bring we're like a make a wish. We make so many players' dream come true. We sign them and we just they're on like 20,000 all of a sudden we go on six figures when they come to our club, and that just literally puts us
Yeah.
behind the eight already.
Well, you
Because
can't get rid of people either.
I don't, I today I don't know. I just do not know to this how we got rid of Eddie. Eddie was on £100,000 a week. I don't know
Yeah.
how Palace took that on. I
30
mean,
mil.
they're miracle workers how they got rid of
Um,
him. But yeah,
that's actually
that
one
is
of
a
the
good point.
sales. That's one of the sales that I think we actually did all right last year, to be fair. Smith Rowe, 30 million,
Yeah,
Nketiah, 30 million. Maybe a bit of like homegrown syndrome with Smith Rowe. I don't know, like we all thought, was he better than he is? I don't know. But maybe his injuries as well brought down his stock because before his injuries, he was probably up there with Saka as, the next best thing in English football. So Yeah, he still could turn out to be good, but I think a £30 million sale on him, 30 million on Nketiah. We
I
sold
mean,
what Rambo for 25 mil, was it?
yeah,
They're not bad, but they're not good. Uh, big sales are they either?
yeah. I mean, that wages coming from
Yeah,
AA is really rattled my cage. I mean, Nelson's on
Yeah,
100k a week.
yeah,
Who's gonna take him on 100k a week? If you go, yeah, that's a marquee player for the likes of Fulham,
yeah,
Everton, Brentford. 100k. You best come in and score at least 10 goals and get 10 assists.
yeah.
yeah. I
Well, I
And
think
just
the time
Buemo's
needs,
and Buemo's not on that. Wiss is
yeah.
not on that.
no.
Nah, come on. Yeah, we're stuck with
I
these
imagine
players.
the likes of like Cedric and people like that who we've been carrying can't get rid of. They're just out on loan
Yeah,
now.
I'm not saying Nelson
100k a
crap.
week.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they're not crap players, but we just give them too much and then we just get stuck with them. I mean, we're stuck with Jesus. He's looking like he's coming back soon. I
yeah,
mean,
I think he's on about 260 grand a
yeah,
week.
he's up. He's
yeah.
up. I mean, Havertz, we got him over. He's a highest paid player. I mean, that's something we need to probably maybe. I don't know if that's what Berta does. If that's his part of his, if that's part of his job description to maybe manage the wages more appropriately. Let's not get taken for a ride. If you
Yeah.
don't want to come to us for this certain salary, we'll move on. We'll find someone else who wants to come and have a better sustainable wage structure.
Well, maybe that's all started with Thomas Partey
True. I mean, that's a
by
good point. That's a
him
good point.
demanding more,
Yeah,
and we've actually put our foot down
yeah,
and said actually for a Jorginho backup, which is what Partey's role would have been, we're not willing to pay you more or
mm,
200 plus. So yeah, something definitely that needs to be worked on for sure.
Yeah, I
yeah,
just checked Zinchenko's on 150 grand a week now.
That's why he won't go. That's the only
yeah.
reason why
That's
no one
probably
will
why we're
take him.
getting quoted 10 million quid for someone like that.
Yeah,
'Cause you got like I said, Fulham 150 grand. That's probably their highest paid player. And where is he? He's
yeah,
a left back slash centre mid hybrid. So he's paying that for a left back. So
Yeah. Every Friday, 150. Come on. Yeah. I'm not going nowhere, I'll be honest. But yeah, I mean, I just wanted to end on a more brighter note. The beer at the Emirates has been changed.
finally.
Well, I must confess, I'm not a beer drinker. We've got our own beer stories between us. Famous 6 beers from Katie at Wembley. Uh, but yeah, I mean, Asahi is that a big improvement? Is that an upgrade on Camden Hell? Sorry, Katie, you like your beer, don't
Mate,
you?
Shane, you don't need to be a beer drinker to realise the quality of the beer at the Emirates was honestly piss poor.
Yeah.
So yeah, even like it was so watered down, terrible. So it's definitely an upgrade.
Mm.
So far it's the best signing we've done all summer, to be
Yeah, I mean
honest.
they do that 2 for 1. Is it 2 for 1 for?
yeah,
If you
now
come, I
before
think,
kickoff, I
an
mean,
hour
yeah.
before, yeah, it's
Yeah,
an hour
yeah,
before kickoff to get them in. Now people might actually turn up
yeah. They
because
might they might they
it's
might
not
take it
even
back now.
time.
Yeah,
Yeah, as long as they don't pre-pour them and put them on the side and get them ready too far in advance, I think no one will be complaining. That's for sure.
Mm.
yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, I think we're just gonna end the pod there. I mean, it's been a great discussion there, lads. Once again, thanks for coming on. Um,
Excellent.
Pleasure as always.
yeah, I mean, if you've enjoyed the pod, be grateful if you leave a 5-star review, 5-star rating, share, like, subscribe. All the good things that help the pod get noticed by other people. So yeah, I mean, Katie, take care. See you next time again.
Cheers, mate. See you soon.
AA, thank you for coming on, buddy. I'll see you again.
Cheers, mate. Thank you.
And for everyone else, until next time, all the best.